Let's play! Whoa!
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. You all may call me Pharaoh, and welcome back to Let's Play Raging Loop. Last time we left off, I believe we were basically going back to the start of the game. I would take a look at the map here, and this time, because we remember what happened in the left path, we're trying to go a different route that's not going to really kill us. Although we tried that a bunch of times with the officer, different questions, it all got us killed, but it gave us enough keys to open up this path now, which I guess is drunken sleepover. So it works, you know. Sometimes, it's a solution. It's not a good one, but sometimes it works. Ugh. Where was I? Ah, wow. Oh, my head, back. Oh, I hurt all over. It's hot to me in a blanket. So he really let me spend the night here, just as I'd planned. The officer was actually a nice guy. Not like I couldn't tell, but he was just rough and simple. Basically, the way to get around him was to get him to think there was nothing more to me than met the eye. Oh, you awake? Let's talk for a bit. All right. It was time. So let me get this straight. You got no money, can't find a job, you got chased from your apartment, left by your girl, and your parents are already gone. You came to the mountains to drink yourself stupid and die, but couldn't finish a job, huh? Yes. Tokyo's hell, isn't it? Yes. After I spent an hour lying by myself, the officer looked at me with a sympathetic expression. If you ask me, you should try to look more proper than that. Yeah, I'll think about it. Basically, I didn't talk unless prompted, nor did I argue with him. This guy was definitely good-natured, but he was also rough around the edges, chatty, and a bit preachy. In this case, I just kind of let him set the pace. I was about to ask him something outrageous, and after all, I needed to be completely on board with his story. The front door was made of glass, and when people passed me up on the farm road in front, they all gave me funny looks. It was early morning, but the people of Kamifujiyoshi were already aware and concerned about my presence, an outsider. Well, dying ain't good. Yeah, I was too scared to die even when drunk. Didn't seem that way. Sometimes you're so scared you can't help but laugh. That's so. Well, what do you want to do now? I paused to make it seem like I was hesitating. I want to make a fresh start, but I got nowhere to go. I faked some tears and quivered as I spoke. My wife's from Miyazaki. They got a small workshop there. You want to give that a try? Huh? Your wife is from Kyushu? Yeah, she's a tough woman. How did you meet her? Well, when I was still 20. And so he began his grandiose hour-long talk about his youthful romance. The words karma and a cursed rebound came to mind. Apparently, he wasn't a Fujiyoshi inhabitant at the start. He and his wife were only living here in the sticks because he was a local officer. It was then that said wife, a plump and pleasant woman, okay then, came out and served his tea. So they really were living here. Eventually, they got so lovey-dovey, it was hard for me to talk. I instead considered what to do next. I mean, this made it really hard for me to say I wanted to make a fresh start here in Fujiyoshi. Even his wife suggested I went to work for her family back in Kyushu. Such nice people. Exactly the type that gets swindled. That sounds great, but this place is nice too, isn't it? There's lots of nature. I think I could take it easy here.
Oh, but it's so inconvenient, all surrounded by mountains, and I don't have eyes.
I have a feeling like I was brought here for a purpose. Like, maybe I'd meet someone.
Well, you did. You met us, didn't you?
Damn, she was a tough one. This is the first time anyone's been so nice to me.
Oh, dear, please don't cry.
I want to pay you back. Can I work somewhere in this village? I got to the heart of the matter, but the guy didn't look so enthusiastic. His wife left the room, leaving behind the two of us in awkward silence. I don't think you should.
Huh?
I mean, this place is full of old people, and it's not like we have any local exports or anything. The most you can expect is odd jobs, but that's good enough for me. I don't even need money. That's great and all, but there's a town not far from here. I want to work here. Well, how do I put it? The people here are a bit strange, you see. He went and said it. Listening to his story, it made me guess that he wasn't under Fujiyoshi's sway to the degree others were. They'd lived here for 20 years, but in some small ways, they were still outsiders themselves. The bitterness in his expression was more than enough to give me that impression. Strange? Forget I said that. Anyway, don't take this the wrong way, but you should find some other... Well, suddenly I heard a sound coming from outside. It was a town broadcast. Oh, it's the little tone we heard, well, it plays when you look at the game in the PlayStation menu, but also we heard it very early on in the game, like when we first entered the village. And we saw Tay wearing that weird cloth over her head. Some speakers somewhere in the village were playing some unclear music, and it was... Oh, that surprised you? That's a sign that it's 7 o'clock. Yeah, I've heard this music back in Yasumizu. It was both a children's song and a playground singing game. Shigemitsu said it was called Prayer to Shinai. So it was a song revering Great Lord Shinai? But from what I remembered, it was about the Feast of the Yomi Purge. That's a strange melody. I forgot what it's called. It's been around here for generations. So the village as a whole had inherited it. There wasn't anything strange about that, really. Even if its roots were in cruel legend, the passage of time would eventually erode such legend's significance. Just introduce something like a wolf bullying festival, and it would be nothing more than a decent song to serve as a morning alarm for the villagers. But that was only true if the legend's meaning had been forgotten. What happened next was shocking, even to someone who had their suspicions about the nature of this place. One by one, people started coming out of their homes, forming a crowd. The road before the office was full of people traveling from right to left. Where had this many people even come from? I couldn't get any good looks at their expressions, but they were all hanging their heads despondently. Were they just tired? What's going on? They're going to the watering hole. Watering hole? The eatery. Everyone eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. That was it. That's a bit weird. Yeah, it's got something to do with there being a ban on using fire because it could burn a mountain, so the watering hole did it in secret. That's why everyone here eats at the watering hole instead of their homes. Meal times are dictated by the Haiguchi or so. Oh, what the hell are you?
What about us?
The door suddenly opened up and I heard a soft voice I didn't recognize. I wouldn't call that soft, but whatever. Surprised, the officer and I turned around. It was a man in a suit, average build. His face was round and he looked a bit shy of middle-aged. It's nothing, Haiguchi-san. And it turned out he was a member of one of the 4 head families here, the Haiguchi. That was the family Kyoto Oribe, whatever, had married into, but when her husband, the family's head, died, she was sent to Yasumizu. That means this man was related to Yoshinaga-kun and Yoshisugu-kun. I couldn't really see a resemblance. I was definitely intrigued, though. Fujiyoshi had a tradition of using the watering hole to feed themselves, and if the Haiguchi family were in charge of it, that gave them an influential position. People needed food to stay alive, and if they didn't have any way to cook, they wouldn't even consider making food for themselves. I can only imagine the power a family could have if it was in charge of all the local food and drink. Kiori Oribe-san was in charge of a dining hall too. Her relation to the Haiguchi probably has something to do with that. Perhaps she'd been sent there to fill that role? But if that was the case, the idea that Yasumizu had been completely abandoned wasn't true at all. It'd mean that Kamo Fujiyoshi was actually controlling what went on there.
Everyone was talking about this person. Who is he?
Name's Fusashi. Kid went through some bad stuff, wandered here wanting to die.
That does sound quite awful.
Haiguchi gave me a genuinely sympathetic smile. No need for that. I think I wasn't in the right mind. Sorry for the bother. Well, that's all fine and good.
I see. Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shoji Haiguchi. I am in charge of the odd jobs around here.
I don't know why I'm giving that voice, but screw it. Pleased to meet you. I'm Haruaki Fusashi.
You are quite stylish. A hunk, as they say.
I wouldn't say so.
May I ask what you're talking about?
We're about to eat. Can't you leave it for later?
Oh, I forgot. You always make your own food. Oh, but have you had breakfast yet, Fusashi-san? You care to join us? My family runs an eatery. We can treat you. It might also be a good chance to talk. Don't worry, looking after Fujiyoshi is part of my role. I'd like to know everything there is to know about what's happening here.
He looked gentle and easy to get along with, but also like someone I had to watch my step around. He just walked right up to the local police officer and asked him for information like it was a casual request. It was clear who was in charge here. I gave the officer a glance out of the corner of my eye, but he'd stopped talking. I felt like the conversation I had with him could have led me to sharing breakfast with him and his wife. But he hadn't said anything about it. He hadn't said anything about Shoji Haiguchi inviting me. It was like he was telling me to accept it. Or perhaps that there was just no point in trying to refuse. May I? Even so, I did ask for his permission. Can I have him for breakfast? But the officer didn't even want to talk to me anymore. There's still some things I'd like to ask him. Perhaps Fujiyoshi was a place where, in his presence, you couldn't even have a conversation without him involved.
Yes, of course.
Anyway, it was decided. The sky was clear. The eatery was split into several buildings around the village. From what Haiguchi had told me, Fujiyoshi had a population of about 1,000 people. It was a pretty small for an autonomous area, but it was still enough to make eating in one building impossible. We went into one of them. It was crowded, but upon seeing us, the villagers stepped aside as if this was all planned. Apparently, everyone here did what they could to accommodate Haiguchi. Also, everyone was staring at me like I was an alien or something, but it felt like Haiguchi's presence discouraged them from staring too long. That attitude aside, everyone had looked pretty normal. Your usual Japanese people. The lethargy from before was nowhere to be seen. Maybe they just looked lethargic because it was early morning. Most looked like they were farmers, but I could also see some students in uniforms bearing the same design as the ones worn by the students in Yasumizu. The building itself was an aged wooden structure, but it was a whole lot bigger than the one in Yasumizu, and looked way sturdier too. The interior wasn't too pretty, but it was spacious. You grabbed a tray right after walking in, and then got tea and rice bowls for whatever the ladies in aprons. It felt like a high school cafeteria, but you couldn't choose what you wanted. You could refuse what you didn't want, though.
Oh, I'll look after him, don't worry.
He spoke to the elderly woman one after another and made them stop staring at me with suspicion. Then we took our trays and, without paying anything, apparently they had something like union dues for that, how effective, walked away. parting the crowd, we searched for a place to sit down.
It's a bit cramped in here, but please do eat.
I really appreciate getting to eat a normal meal. Lots of rice, miso soup, the one vegetables and boiled beans. I thought it was vegetarian at first, but then I felt something meaty inside.
It's shishi. Not used to it? It doesn't taste that strange, does it?
Shishi. Like inoshishi? Boar?
Not specifically. In here, deer, boar, all the wild meat is called shishi.
Oh yeah. I heard that shishi once used to be in a Japanese reading for meat before it became niku.
I'm surprised you know that. The people of this area have been hunting for a long time, and even now the hunters share what they catch, like they did with us.
I hadn't thought I'd ever eat the wild game in some communal eatery. Lucky me. Though, the taste was kind of bland overall. I could detect some soy sauce in the vegetables, while the boiled beans were kind of sweet. The soup stock, too, made me think they used a minimal amount of flavoring. The miso soup didn't really seem like miso soup. It was more like a stew, probably because shishi was the only thing they used for the stock. I tasted more of it and realized that the overboiled meat still has some sort of beastly texture and smell about it. They're not killing and cooking the wolves, are they? That'd be something. I couldn't call it good, but it was a unique local meal not everyone had a chance to eat. I was grateful for the experience. The eatery was still crowded as the people came and went, but Haiguchi didn't seem bothered as we talked. I kept up with him during the conversation, repeating the same lies I've told to the officer, and making sure to look as much as a poor, unfortunate soul as I could. Alright, Ursula. He smiled all the way through, even as he interjected now and again. I felt like he was at least 100 times craftier than the officer, and I wondered if it was my inner contrarian speaking. After that, Haiguchi and I returned to the officer's post, but...
What would you say to Fusashi-san moving to Fujiyoshi?
It was what I wanted to hear, but I couldn't let it show on my face. While the officer was against it, he didn't intend to argue too strongly. He and Haiguchi discussed some things, but it seemed like Haiguchi already knew how he'd treat me. It didn't look like the officer's take mattered to him. After a few exchanges, the officer caved, and it was my turn to speak.
You're okay with this too, aren't you, Fusashi-san?
Now that was a smile I couldn't even say no to, even if I wanted to. Well, it really did seem like the heads of Kama Fujiyoshi were a twisted bunch. Yes, this opportunity is a godsend for me.
You can settle in right away, but it's going to be a place a short distance from here.
Was he serious? I don't mind. What kind of place is it?
I'll tell you more in a moment. Oh, that reminds me, we had some people already headed there.
Those two, huh?
We'll ask them to take you there.
There was no mistaking it. He smiled like he was harmless while forcing me into the settlement for the ostracized. So, do I have to side anything?
We can take care of that later. I know someone in Tokyo. He can act as a proxy for that. Anyway, we must start with your place of residence. You'd be a bother if you stayed in the officer's post, after all. I'll talk to the ones going there. Don't worry, they're from the city, too. Oh, I'll have to tell the locals about you, too. I'll be quite busy, but I'm sure I can get it all done by lunch. Anyway, goodbye for now.
He one-sidedly ended the conversation and left the post. Nice guy. On the surface, anyway. Yeah. The officer understood the situation and didn't like it, but couldn't go against one of the heads. This was probably why she and me said we couldn't trust the police. In Fujiyoshi, even government institutions were only a secondary authority. Anyway, what can I make of this? I did actually expect to be sent to Yasumizu. The people here had no interest in harboring outsiders. We weren't welcome. Or maybe they wanted to avoid the initial trouble caused by my immigration by making me live with the ostracized until I got used to the village?
Whatever the case, this wasn't something I had a say in, which made it seem really bad. That was probably why the officer was so against it. I could understand that. Haiguchi, on the other hand, seemed a bit heavy-handed with all this. I could understand him wanting to set me up with a place quickly. But as someone who knew about the feast, I couldn't help but be suspicious of the timing. The mist would come this evening, and he wanted to give Yasumizu a new inhabitant until then. Did Haiguchi, ahead of Kamafujiyoshi, understand what that meant? Have you ever read Kyoko Haozai's articles? Sorry. I went through a highly familiar exchange and finished my introduction to Hisako Mamiya at a second time. Hello. It's nice to meet you. Hello. He was as hard to deal with as always. Haiguchi worked fast. Thorough, too. He'd gotten back to me before noon, and before I knew it, I was greeting the ones who'd led me to my place. Who'd lead me to my place. Just as I expected, they were the journalists. Haiguchi-san said that he already contacted the people in Yasumizu. What about you? Are you ready? Yes. I'm more worried about you, in fact. Oh, we're all right. If we can get there at noon, we won't have to stay hungry for long. I see. So you intended to come later for their convenience? Yes. He said we should avoid coming when the people there are eating. Honestly, I wanted to cover their eating environment, so this is a bit of a stroke of luck. Oh. So this probably also had something to do with the people of Fujiyoshi not wanting to show their daily lives to outsiders. They could have just refused them completely, though. Did the journalists have connections that made it impossible to refuse? Or did they want to show what a developed settlement it was? Or maybe they had no intention of letting them go. Unlikely. If they killed anyone from Yasumizu and saw some nobody like me, they could easily conceal it due to how isolated the location was. But the two journalists that come here to make an article, if something were to happen to them here, would be certain to draw unwanted attention to the village. On the other hand, if Kamafujiyoshi's people knew that the feast was near, they probably wouldn't have allowed them here. I think we should head over now. What do you think, Hashimoto-san?
Fine.
Whoa. He was slow, but he actually communicated with someone. That was rare. So, sorry for the bother, and thank you for having me. No. Oh, wait, that's him.
No worries.
That was the first exchange I've shared with him. In this life, anyway. Of course. Now get in. The van started slowly traveling down the thin paved road between the farms. Come to think of it, May was rice planting season. The field had water all over it and didn't display a single weed. It was full of people planting rice seedlings by hand. They're not using machines. It looks like it. The people here don't seem to like modern technology. Combines and tractors aren't that new, if you ask me. I'm impressed they're doing such a good job by hand. I'm not sure they are. That's why the big families here are trying to get heavy machinery for the job. I see. Like Haiguchi-san. I heard that the Maiguri Ruma were in charge of farming developments. I see. So they have money, huh? Seems so. Not quite sure how that works. But something has to work here? Well, how do I put this? What I mean to say is the big families are strangely rich for a mountain village with an aging populace where the young go work outside. Really? Yes. The Miguruma house was really big. They even had a large foreign car. Yeah, even if it was something that could easily be explained, it was still something to keep in mind.
Kyo-chan.
Yes? The strange nickname Hashimoto-san used surprised me, but Mamiya-san herself didn't seem bothered.
You shouldn't make too many assumptions.
But...
The journalist within you is curious?
It's nothing that big.
I think we should just leave it at that.
Is that your famous photographer intuition talking?
Who knows?
Well, alright. This isn't my specialty anyway. Anyway, forget what I said.
Yeah. Nope.
By the way, I heard you're moving here.
That's how it turned out.
Have you heard about the place you're going to?
I didn't, but I can imagine what it's like. My words made her give me a strange look.
As in...
It probably isn't a good place to live in, it being separate from the main settlement and all.
Why do you think that?
Well, few people looked comfortable about how I'd be treated. While Haiguchi-san looked less like a nice guy and more like someone who could easily shrug off any guilt his actions would cause him.
I see.
Don't mind me, though. I'm satisfied with where I'm going.
Maybe I shouldn't say anything, but it's a really isolated place. I don't know if loving the countryside is enough to bear it.
Don't worry. Compared to dying, any place is heaven. Wait, that must sound strange.
Seriously, what would you expect to happen if somebody said that to you? It's like, okay.
What an awkward laugh. Apparently, they've been told I'd almost committed suicide. I'm curious, though. What kind of place is it?
It's special.
Kyo-chan. She tried choosing her words carefully, but that made it sound worse than just a place for the ostracized. Hashimoto-shi seemed to be warning her, but she continued talking anyway.
I still don't know too much, but it's full of people who are unfairly forced to live there. Both the place and the people living there aren't regarded highly here in Kamafujiyoshi.
Think before you go leaking information.
I pick and choose who I'm saying this to. This is something a person who's moving there should know. It's only fair.
There's something you should say before that, though.
Right. Sorry, Fusashi-san. Please keep this off the record.
Sure. I won't say a word to the people there.
With that in mind, are you sure? You can still go back with us if you change your mind after seeing it. You wouldn't mind, would you, Hashimoto-san?
I'll think about it if that's what he wants.
Fusashi-san, do you want to leave with us?
These two had an interesting relationship. Mamiya-san did all the talking, but Hashimoto-san seemed to outrank her. Hell, though he didn't really speak much, everything he said was really well constructed. Made sense, so to speak. While Mamiya-san often became overly excited, Hashimoto-san was strangely stable, and not just in terms of appearance. Wait, this is no time to scrutinize my traveling companions? No, I don't feel like going back to the city anymore. Thank you for consideration, though.
But,
Mamiya-san, you're probably saying this as a fellow city dweller, but you realize I'm a pretty shady character myself, right? I'm just grateful for your help. That's more than enough.
I see. Then I won't say anything more.
Haruki Fusashi-kun, was it?
Yes.
You really don't look like a guy at the end of his rope. I get that a lot. Must be my carefree attitude. I see. I'm sorry.
You know, one of my classmates in middle school committed suicide. He was always so carefree that we couldn't even believe he'd done something like that.
Guess that's the way it is sometimes. I might have said too much. Recalling the scene at the officer's post, I tried to get back into the character of the poor suicidal man. The van slowly ambled onward. We approached a slightly more open space. It seemed to be the center of the village, and it looked like there were small shops there. As we went on, it started to become even more desolate, and you could see more and more trees growing between the buildings. If that was where Kamafujiyoshi ended, it was only about 3 kilometers across. If it was about 10 square kilometers in size, it had 100 people for every one of them. The stones I'd been back in Yasumizu were nowhere in sight. Apparently, they really were Yasumizu exclusive. I could see a larger building nearby, and Mamiya-san told me it was a branch school from the nearby town. All students of Fujiyoshi must get their education there before moving on to help in the fields. The smarter ones left to work outside the village upon graduating high school. Those who went from here to college were rare, meaning that, at least relative to the other locals, Shiimi was a prodigy. The students from Yasumizu should have been in school this time of day. Once we passed the last residence, we entered an area mostly untouched by human hand. The road led us into the overgrown mountains. There were large stones on each side of the road.
Impressive, huh? They're like tories.
Tories?
Yes, trees inhabited by the birds serving the gods, or a gateway through a sacred boundary. Fujiyoshi worships a mountain, apparently.
Oh, Great Lord Shinai.
You know about it?
Oh, shit. Haiguchi-san told me a few things.
Well, anyway, you don't really hear that the mountain's special outside this village, do you? I never heard of this god Shinai. Going by the kanji, it sounds like it's a monkey god or some sort, but that one is only used in calendars and directions.
Weren't your articles about food?
Oh, sorry. I used to write about the occult. Quickly switched topics because it wasn't keeping food on the table.
She looked like your typical neat and fashionable career woman, so this was really unexpected. Really? Sounds interesting, though.
In this day and age, anyone who wants to read that kind of stuff just uses the internet. Everything in magazines is a lie, and all the real occult info is on the net. That's the general opinion of people who into the occult these days. The piece of the pie that's still around was taken by the leading writers. We newbies didn't have a chance.
Now that she mentioned it, I haven't seen many magazines on the occult and the supernatural these days. No idea if that was a good thing, though. The car passed by a large boulder. The road is about to get bumpy. Be careful. Alright. My controller's going crazy. The moment he said that, the car jumped, scaring the crap out of me. If those stones were the mountain's boundary, we were now on Great Lord Shinai's turf. Beyond it, we'd find Yasumizu on Saranaga. The entrance to Yomi was beyond the sacred ground? This religion just kept getting weirder and weirder. Eventually, the pavement ended, and we were on the gravel road. The grove of trees became a dark forest. It was cloudy, so there wasn't much light to begin with, which only made this place extra creepy. I composed myself. After all, the real creepiness was at the end of this road. We weren't saying a word anymore, and I thought about mundane stuff like the convenience of cars. We went down the side of the mountain for about 20 minutes and eventually made it through God's narrow road. Beyond the dense forest, there was a relatively open space. We arrived at the entrance I passed when Haru-chan escaped the settlement and I searched for her. They were the same two large stones, and they did a great job telling me that this was some sort of boundary.
We're close.
I felt like I heard a hint of nervousness in her tone. Were we about to enter a strange realm? Or were we already there? There's no point thinking about it now. We just passed the gate, and she was... I stared, careful not to lose sight of her. Our eyes met. A mysterious red stare, red hair trailing behind her. She looked at the van as we passed. As she fell. Oh, she hit the stone! She hit her head on some stone and is now writhing in pain! Hey, please stop the van!
What?
Sudden as it was, Hashimoto-shi stopped the van. I jumped out and ran to her. Are you alright?
Oh.
She was still writhing on the ground with her hands on her head. There was no trace of the divinity and mystery from last time, or from just a moment ago.
It hurts.
I can tell.
Who are you?
Just a passerby.
Who am I?
Wait, hold on.
I merely wanted to say that.
Oh, so you feel up to joking around at least?
The pain made me lose my composure for a moment.
The girl, or rather woman, since she was older than me, became red as a tomato right before my eyes. Rikaku Uimatsu. She was an albino? Her skin and her hair were pale, while her eyes were blood red. Her unusual appearance and manner of speech were exactly as I remembered. But man, where did this playfulness come from? Well, I hadn't spoken to her much last time, so maybe I didn't know her as well as I thought I did. Are you okay? Be honest.
My late mother said that pain is proof you are well.
Hey, now that depends on the situation. Excuse me. Slightly hesitant, I reached out for her head, gently touched it, and examined the damage.
Ow.
You're bleeding a bit. That's gonna leave a bump. You should take it easy for a while.
Are you a doctor?
No, this sort of thing is common knowledge. From the look of the wound, it isn't that bad. Is it? Are you okay?
Yes, but having my hair touched like that makes me feel a bit odd. I rather like the feeling, but I am uncertain how I should respond.
Was the skin on her head sensitive or something?
Physical intimacy with the first villager you meet. Not bad, Fusashi-kun.
What are you saying? Oh, dear God in heaven! Scared the shit out of me. Damn it, hey. Whew, my heart's beating like crazy. This is the scariest thing I saw the whole game so far.
Hey, a brown-haired man is trying to take Uimatsu-sama.
Out of nowhere came the old lady. No, I'm not. Listen to lady. Uimatsu-sama here slipped on her head, so I just...
Oh, what horrible things did this hoodlum do to you, Uimatsu-sama? How awful!
She wasn't listening at all. Feeling a bit stupid for worrying so much about her, I explained what happened and cleared up the misunderstanding.
My apologies for the trouble. The ones to blame are the ones who misunderstood.
Sorry.
Now, Uimatsu-sama, you should come and rest at home. No need to worry about me, Yamawaki-san. Nosoto-sama is in Yasumizu right now. I'll call him.
We can take you.
Yes, please do.
Now this was unusual. She hated outsiders, but she couldn't say no to Hashimoto-san's presence.
Uematsu-san, was it? Are you sure you don't have to go back to the hospital? Or you don't have to go to the hospital? We have a doctor here. Really? Well, that's good then. We'll give you a hand. Want to get on? Apologies for the trouble. Sorry, Fusashi-kun. You're stuck with the back.
It was full of equipment, though. I can walk.
Don't.
I've been talking nonchalantly, but her response is a stern one. Well, it was true I could have caused some serious trouble if I arrived completely alone. I knew this from my experience arriving via Saranaga. Also, I wasn't supposed to be familiar with the area. I had to avoid looking suspicious.
My apologies.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, I mean, I am Rikaku Uimatsu. Rikaku is as in plum flower, and Uimatsu as in spin and end.
Oh, right. We haven't properly introduced ourselves. Haruaki Fusashi. Fusa from Kitchen and Ishi from Stone Tools. And Haruaki from the Japanese for Neo-Confucianism. I always get a little iffy whenever I see, like, different things in the text box. Kind of like, I forgot how, like, kind of earlier on in the LP, where, like, when we saw her and Miku, like, in by the great tree, and they have a bunch of arrows everywhere. Like, I was like, that's something's going on there. Haruaki Fusashi? I felt like she didn't get it at all. Anyway, thanks to that, I became an inhabitant of the back seat and a fellow passenger alongside Rikaku Uimatsu. For a brief moment, anyway. We didn't really speak much. The only noteworthy thing was a strange smell of dried aromatic wood she'd brought along. Besides that, I was just struggling to keep my seat as we jolted down the bumpy road. Leaving a trail on the unpaved road, we arrived and drove through Yasumizu. We passed the front of the Nosato mansion. Is that a construction site? Teisan's house, probably. Until finally, we arrived at the plaza. By the time we got there, Uimatsu-san seemed to be in perfect health and apologized profusely for the trouble she'd caused, though it'd be best if she just took care of the wound on her head. Mamiya-san and I went alongside her and took her to the house she was living in. It was the same place where she'd lost her mind and the rest of us had barricaded her in. Now then, I shall wait for Nosato-sama just in case. Take care. Yes. Fusashi-sama, I will surely make it up to you. Oh, don't worry about that. Bye. Whoa! I completely forgot about Uimatsu-san's extra. Oh? Who's this girl? You did not see her yesterday. She wandered into Yasumizu 2 days ago. Oh, from Kamafujiyoshi? I can drive her back if you want. No, she... why don't I ask someone else? Rikaku-san needs to rest. Oh... You have a point. Then we'll be leaving now. What about this girl? Miko. Bah. Uimatsu called to Miku and brought her inside. A stronger smell began wafting from the building. Maybe they were burning incense. She's cute, isn't she? Yeah. Her attire combined for her appearance make her look just as mystifying. Attire? You didn't notice? While it's in the style of a Shinto shrine maiden uniform, the dark coloration is clearly Buddhism influenced. It's clearly a religious garb. I never expected a place so remote to have its own religion. How exciting! It's good to be enthusiastic about your work, but there are limits to how far you should pry, don't you think? Man, everyone seemed to just appear out of nowhere this time. Oh, Nosato-san, I'm sorry. Are you here to treat Uematsu-san? Mamiya-san gave a confident, journalistic smile and spoke to Kiyonosuke Nosato-shi. Yes, if you're aware of that, then please clear the way. And who is this man? Oh, he's Haruaki Fusashi-san. Haiguchi-san sent him here to live here. Huh? Hello. I hope we get along. You're not from Fujiyoshi, are you? No, I'm not. Things happened, and I left Tokyo and ended up here. What's Haiguchi thinking? You have my sympathy, though. Anyway, I'm off. I'm coming in, Rikaku-san. Sympathy, huh? As condescending as always. After parting ways with him, we returned to the plaza. Hashimoto-san was taking photos of a small flower nearby. I could imagine that someone told him not to take photos of the houses. We were the only ones here, and I couldn't hear anything but the wind. It was strangely quiet.
Like always, this place is...
She fell silent before finishing her derisive comment. Did I say that right? Whatever. Wise move. Wouldn't it be good to finish that comment by comparing a place to a ghost town?
Let's go then. You're going to the dining hall, right?
Yeah. Despite having next to nothing to do with me, Mamiya-san was helping me out a lot. Then again, she was heading there too.
Oh, I've been waiting for you. You're Fusashi-san, right? And hello to you too, Hosei-san and Hashimoto-san.
Hello?
Hello.
It took a lot to keep myself from saying hello. Haiguchi-san sent me here. A pleasure to meet you. Shoji Haiguchi had pushed me into working at the dining hall here. Not the watering hole, but dining hall. He'd strongly emphasized that it wasn't under his control. That was why it had been decided I'd meet Kiyori-san.
Yeah, we all know what happened last time, though.
She had an oval, composed, slightly haggard face, and I couldn't see a hint of the demon from before. Apparently, if it was for the children, some parents could become both demons and angels. I kind of felt like that applied to the entire history of mankind. For better or for worse.
My, you're well behaved for someone so young.
Oh, no, I'm just a failure.
Oh, come now. But are you sure you want to, you know?
It's fine. Many people say otherwise, but this is a nice place.
Is it? But I don't know if you've been told, but this dining hall is more like a ration distribution house. This is hard for me to say, but you won't be paid. The most we can offer is meals.
I don't mind. If I can live a simple life, I don't need money.
My.
Huh? Where are you little fart? Suddenly Yoshisugu Oribe-kun walked through the door, displaying the same recklessness that probably got him killed the last time.
Yoshisugu, why are you not in school?
Shut it! I said I ain't going! Hey, you fucking zombie! Heard you came here because you couldn't die! Well, that's so lame!
Yoshisugu, how dare you!
Oh, word spread fast around here. They called and told Kiyori-san about it, and then she told it to several other people. And it probably leaked. Yeah, I'm so lame.
The hell? You okay upstairs?
Can't say that I am. I'm an idiot.
Hey, Hack, don't hire this guy. He'll mess up the place. I don't want to hear that from someone who doesn't go to school or help around.
Shut up! Hey, you brown-haired dumbass! You seriously came here to die? Or is that an act or something? He twitched. As if.
Hey, Hag, this guy's weird as hell. My name isn't Hag. I know I have nothing to do with this, but you should keep your joking around to a minimum.
Sorry. I just felt like we'd be living together for a long while, so I ought to be as friendly as possible. Yoshisugu-kun, was it? Want to make a bet?
Huh? What kind of bet, you coward?
I looked at my large bag and I took something out. Specifically, a new pocket knife. Use this to cut off my pinky. Everyone instantly fell silent. I ignored them and continued. Come on, I'll put my hand down, and I'll put the knife right here.
The hell you'd say?
I'm saying I'll let you shorten my finger. As a sign of our friendship.
I'm saying it's insane! Hell, that's something you do yourself! You're making me do this because you can't do it yourself, huh? You really are a coward, huh?
I can do it myself, but this is a bet and a test of courage. If you're gonna call me a coward, you gotta show me you're not one yourself, right? Swing the knife down and you win. And if I don't back out, I win. That means that if you cut off my finger, we both win. Then we'd be friends with no hassle involved. What do you think, Yasumizu-kun? I smiled and pointed at the knife on the table with my finger. The hell are you talking about? You nuts? That's pretty much all you're saying now, but yeah, I really am nuts. Or what? You prefer normal people? You who looks like that and gives no respect to his mother? I prefer weird people, you see? Show me how insane you can get. Man, this was just too much fun. Yasumizu-kun looked right about ready to shit his pants. But it was time to not back off. Gotcha. What a shame, huh, Yasumizu-kun? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do something that hurt that much. Hell, even if we can't get along now, we'll be friends eventually. You actually think that helps? Jokes aside, he was actually pretty sharp. He and his brother were nothing alike, but it wouldn't have been surprising if he also had a talent for seeing through people. He had Haiguchi blood in his veins, after all. Perhaps it was genetic. He left without saying another word. Kiyori-san didn't even tell him to go to school. I'm sorry. That was weird, wasn't it?
No. My stupid son had it coming. That shocked me a bit, though. You have nerve, don't you?
No, I don't. I'm the one who called it off, so I lost. He probably would have done it if I kept pushing him. After all, he was the type who'd pick a fight with something inhuman and die. He probably didn't want to draw blood in front of his mother. I think he's a good kid at heart. My words almost made Kiyori-san smile, but...
Oh, but I do feel embarrassed. He grew too big for me to handle, and now all I can do is scold him.
She decided to keep up the act of the strict mother. Puberty and rebellion sure seem complicated.
Oh, Fusachi-san, come here for a sec.
I did just that.
Are you actually one of those kinds of people? Did they send someone after you? Would it be over if they caught you?
Huh? But no, that's just a finger thing for no real reason. Trust me, I won't trouble the people here.
I hope so.
She was actually suspicious. I had to act out a better normal person. This wasn't the time to mess around. Anyway, I'm here to help with anything. Use me however you like.
Oh, well, very well. This was decided by those up there anyway. But before that, I wonder where you'll be staying.
Oh, I kind of expected them to be already decided on that. I'm going to introduce myself to everyone. Who should I ask about that?
The one in charge of the land is Yamawaki-san. The old lady from before. She lives in one of the houses we passed.
Oh, yeah. Well, Takumi-san gave me the key to my dorm room. He told me that he got it from the old lady. Was she like the landlord of Yasumizu? And actually, wouldn't that make sense now? Because, like, we're still going off the knowledge that the wolves are still, or are gonna be Tei and, oh my god, I forgot to do his name. Yosunaga-kun. So, is that gonna be the same time is it gonna be the same this time around, or is it gonna be different? I'm not really sure how they're gonna do this now. But beforehand, it makes sense. If she had all the keys, that would explain why all the doors were unlocked and how the wolves got in. Maybe she's not too far. Like, visiting Uimatsu-san or something?
Oh, did something happen? She fell and hit her head, and...
I left that talk to Mama-san and opened the door so I could see the plaza. Now, what time am I at here, guys? Ooh, you know what? I know I'm not at just an hour. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it here for right now, because I got things I need to do really quick before I make another video. So next time we will see who's on the other side of the door, and really get ourselves integrated in the village. Like, I'm very curious to know how this path is gonna go now. Considering, you know, what we've already seen. But, yeah, this should be,
I have a good feeling a lot of mysteries, a lot of things are going to open up here, and we'll just take it from there. So, as usual, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time for Let's Play Raging Loop. Love you all so much. Have a great day.